We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
And Pastor Don, we have you on the line, so bring in the show, Gospel Rhythms Talk Live for us today, please.
All right. Excited. We are here live again on latalklive.com. Thank you so much, Ness, for bringing us in. We are here with the gospelrhythms.com show. Welcome, everybody, to the show this week. We're doing a remote show, so thank you for listening this week. You can't see us today, but we are live, and we are excited about today's show. So I hope that you do indeed take this opportunity to get somebody on today and tell them to go to www.latalklive.com to hear an incredible show. Today's show is exciting just for those in relationships. And you say, well, what relationships? Any relationship. Today is about learning to love. Love your parent, love your sibling, love your spouse, love your child, but especially for those of you in the marriage relationship, we're going to be talking about the love languages. And so while we're recapping what we've done, so exciting this year already on gospelrhythms.com, I want you to text. I want you to post it on Facebook. I want you to tweet it out. Do whatever you have to do to get somebody whose relationship, maybe with their father or their mother, their husband or their wife, their son or their daughter, right here at latalklive.com. And so we just thank you for tuning in once again for the Word Edition. This is where we bring you not only what's going on in the gospel world, but we want you to know what the Word has to say about it. We're still riding high off of last month's show where we talked about the impact of reality television on my reality. And so we talked about, when you have an addiction to all of the Housewives series and all of the, Real World and all of the, Amazing Race and American Idol and all of these shows upon shows upon shows, and you're just watching one show after the other, does it impact who you are as a man or a woman of God? And so it was such a great show, and the dialogue was absolutely on fire. So definitely go to latalklive.com, click on the Gospel Rhythms link, and you'll be able to check our archives and hear last month's Word Edition of Gospel Rhythms on the first Sunday of January. So, of course, we had a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful time then. And then, of course, before that, we were talking about why does my relationship with my father, or the lack of one, dictate the man that I choose today, dictate the woman that I am today. So we had a lively panel of wonderful women in various stages and ages of their life who talked about what having a father or not having a father has done to impact their relationships and who they've chosen and why they've chosen and how they have chosen. And so that, again, is also in the archives of our last two Word Editions of Gospel Rhythms. But let's get to today's show, because today's show just has me super excited, because this show was birthed out of our Favor of God daily national devotionals. Those of you who have been listening to the Word Edition with us for the last 6 months or so, you know that I have the wonderful honor to host the Favor of God national devotion every day. It's a call-in national conference call where believers from all over the country call in every day, 7 days a week. And we tackle everything. We are tackling how to pray, how to study, give me patience. Lord, teach me to surrender. How do I help somebody else know the gospel and witness, and all of these different topics. And one of the topics that we just had the privilege of going over was relationships, teaching me to renew my relationships. And so today's topic is the summary or the compilation of like a full week of just going over that sibling relationship, that parent-child relationship, and the marriage relationship, and even that of the single individual, trying to understand, how I choose and how I'm chosen. And so that Favor of God devotional has birthed so much great ministry out of it, but I do believe this one on relationships was one of the greatest, was absolutely one of the greatest. And so if you want to hear that daily devotional any day that you wake up, Monday through Friday is 6:30 West Coast time. And it's Saturday and Sunday, 7:30 a.m. West Coast time. And you could just call in to 712-432-0750. That's 712-432-0750. It'll ask you for the code, the FOG. That's the Favor of God ministry code is 486197. And then you'll be able to listen to that live every single morning. So now to take what we talked about in one whole week and compile it down now into this whole hour, is it impossible? Of course it isn't, because all things are possible through Christ Jesus. I want to actually open up with a word of prayer today because I am trusting God for healing and the deliverance of every couple, every family. And so, Father God, in the name of Jesus right now, we ask you to cover every listener who is listening to LA Talk Live right now, God. Whether listening live or listening to a replay, rebroadcast, God, I trust your anointing. God, I trust your healing. I trust the restoration you already have in mind for that child that's going to all of a sudden gain a new understanding of that parent, and that parent is going to understand their child in a better way, and that husband who's going to realize his wife does love him. She's just loving him in her own way through her own language, God. God, I believe some sisters are going to find some peace today because they realize my sister loves me, but she loves me the way she was taught to be loved. And God, maybe there were wounds or maybe there was damage, but I trust your healing, God. So fall down on your people right now. Bring marriages back together, God. Allow somebody to tear up those divorce papers, God. Bring a family back together right now in the name of Jesus. That argument they had over the funeral, over that petty stuff that doesn't even hold water, God, push it away and vaporize it right now by your Holy Ghost, God. I trust you for what you're about to do in the name of Jesus. Amen. And amen. Amen. So we're going to be talking about these love languages today. In the 7th chapter of Corinthians, there's a message version of the first 7 verses of that chapter. And right in the middle of it, it says, marriage is not a place to stand up for your rights. Marriage is a decision to serve the other, whether in the bed or out, once you learn how. Once you learn how. Marriage is a decision to serve the other. And so we're going to talk about that, being taught how to love the person that you are with. There is an author named Gary Chapman who wrote a book called The 5 Love Languages. And in this book, that is what he has done to help countless couples identify powerful ways to express love simply by using the appropriate love language. Basically, in a nutshell, a love language is a primary way of expressing and interpreting love. You have one, I have one, each of your sisters and brothers have one, each of your parents have one, and the man who you're married to or the woman that you're married to, they have one. And if you don't know their primary language, they may have several languages in which they speak love or want to be spoken love to. However, if you don't know their primary language, then it is very possible that that relationship is on the brink of disaster. And at the very least, you're just sick and tired of feeling unfulfilled. And so what Dr. Chapman does in this book is teach us the patterns that he has learned after years and years of counseling thousands and thousands of people to find out what the 5 main love languages are. And that's what we're going to use as the heart and the soul of this teaching today. And so, again, I encourage you to go to the social and post it and let people know you need to hear this word. You keep talking about leaving that one that you're with. Well, today is time for you to love the one that you're with. Because I could tell you something, any old fool can get a divorce. Anybody can get a divorce. Getting a divorce is not hard. It's staying married that takes the work. staying married that takes work. And if you don't work it out with this one, you're going to work it out with the next one. If you don't make resolution right now with your mother, with your father, your sister, your brother, your son, or your daughter, you're going to sit in front of a casket and wish that you had. I can remember in my very own experiencing reading Dr. Chapman's book, and again, the name of the book is The 5 Love Languages, and of course, my sole purpose for reading the book was to gain some understanding for my own marriage. However, at the time, it opened my eyes to my love relationship with my father. I had gone years and years and years of my life thinking that my father had not loved me. But then reading his book, it opened my eyes to realize he had been loving me all my life. He just had loved me in his own language. I thought because he didn't say it, it meant that he didn't love me. But I learned my father's love language. And once I learned it, I was able to receive love from him so much better. And I was able to give love to him so much better. So that's our hope, and that's our desire for you right now. In a nutshell, if I was to ask you, do you know the primary way that your spouse wants to be loved, or the primary way that your parent or your child wants to be loved, what would your answer be? Do you know if they want to be told that they are loved? Do they want you to buy them something? Do they want you to spend time with them? Do they want you to do something for them? Because it's so many couples that come to me at counseling and they say, you don't understand. I keep this house clean. I do all this stuff. I buy her flowers for her birthday. I make sure that the trash is taken out. I make sure that, he has a new suit to wear, on every Christmas, and on and on and on. And we're all talking about all these things we do, all these things we say, all this time we spend. And then yet the person who we're in relationship with can look somebody else in the face honestly from the bottom of their heart and say, she don't love me. He don't love me. How can they say that when the other person, when that parent can say, I do love my son? Why doesn't he know that I love him? I go to work every week to make sure food is on the table, but that son is saying, I just want you to come to the basketball game. That's all. You never made it to a single game I've ever had. There could be a pair of sisters that are feeling so unloved with each other. You never, ever spend any time with me, yet you're always with your friends. You go to the mall and to the movies with everybody else but me. And she say, but I always call you and I always tell you. But that sister just wants your time. She just wants your time. You could be the parent out there, have 4 different children that want to receive love from you 4 different ways. But you loving all 4 of your children the same way, and 3 of them could very well feel unloved because they're not getting it their way. Perhaps you're in a relationship with a wife or with a husband, and you're thinking the same thing. All the stuff I do, all the stuff that I do, and she still doesn't know that I love her. Because she's not looking to feel your love through anything you do. She's looking to feel it through what you say, because that's her love language. It's in the words. This is what we're going to get to. But what I want to do before we do that is I kind of want to take a step back for a moment, because I want us to understand where these love languages primarily, I feel, they are rooted, and they get their foundation, and they actually, are grounded in. And I believe it's so important that we begin to look back at how we each was loved in our past. As a child, that wife that you have, was she loved in a whole, healed, healthy kind of way? Or was her love broken and wounded? Was her form of love filled with pain and neglect? Was there abuse involved? Because if so, you have to understand how your wife, how your husband was loved, even how your own mama was loved, impacts the kind of wife, the kind of mother, the kind of father you have right now. If your father never had a relationship with his father, he does not know through some, wonderful, magical way of osmosis how to be a great father to you. He's doing the best he can to love you better, hopefully, than what he got. Wow. You got a sister or a brother and you don't know why they're so cold and you don't know why they're so distant and you don't know why they're so angry all the time. It could very well have a lot to do with how they were loved. Something happened to them in their teen years, in their childhood, and you don't even know about it. You just think they're angry and ticked off and pissed off all the time, and you don't understand. Something happened to break their ideal of love. Now, they don't want anybody to get close because from what they know from their past, love hurts. Well, guess what? How we were loved impacts how we want to be loved. How we want to be loved. You go back to what I just told you about me and my very own biological father. I never heard him say, I love you. So now my primary love language, one of my primary love language is words of affirmation. I want to hear the words. And that's a pressure and a need that needs to be filled that I put on those that I'm in relationship with because it's in me. It's been in me since I was a little girl. I didn't hear it. So I want to hear it. Maybe someone who didn't get gifts, never got gifts. So now, guess what? They want to get gifts. So you got to look back on, was there abandonment? Was there, any type of damaging relationship that impacted the one that you're with? I can tell you from years and years of counseling that if you had a mother that was cold and was distant and was broken and was angry and abusive and mean, she didn't grow up in an Ozzie and Harriet kind of home. She wasn't raised by Carol and Mike Brady. No, something happened to fracture, to break, to shatter her whole inner mindset for what love even is. And so whether you're trying to understand your mother's love pattern, your spouse's or your child's love pattern, the thing is that you understand there is something to learn. And you only put yourself through the work of learning it when you really do care. When you say, I want us to have a healthy relationship. The way we argue and bicker and the littlest thing becomes the biggest argument, I'm sick of that because I realize we never argue over what we're actually talking about. It's something else behind the scenes, and I want to get past all of that. Well, that's when you say, Lord, teach me. Teach me to love my spouse. Teach me to love my mom, my dad. Teach me to love my sister, my brother. God, teach me to love each and every one of my children the way that they want to be loved. One of the things that psychologists have taught us, and Dr. Chapman even backs this up in his book, is that each and every one of us has internally a love tank. A love tank. We have a capacity inside of us to love and to be loved. This love tank, again, was shaped by what we've been through, where we came from, what we've experienced, what we have survived. And the thing is, it becomes your primary responsibility to look at each of your children, to look at your spouse and say, I want their love tank to be on full. But the problem is we send the people who we claim we love, we send them out into the world on E, not on full. Sadly, not even on half a tank. We send them out on E, starve for love, starve for touch, starve for time. And so guess what they do? When they're running around on E, they'll seek to find balance and fulfillment in anything. That child whose love tank is on E may join a gang. That young girl whose love tank is on E may be promiscuous and sleep around with everybody because she's looking for love in all the wrong places. That spouse who goes to work day in, day out, gets in that car, and that other spouse at home was just talking about how dirty the rug is and how empty the refrigerator is, and don't you know the washer and dryer is broken, you ain't do this, and I'm sick of you, and this, that, and the other. And they got in the car with all of that rolling around in their mind, and they got in that car with that tank on E, and so the minute the devil want to throw something in front of them to tempt them and tease them and entice them away, they'll do anything to get that tank filled. It's our job to say, Lord, teach me how to fill my spouse's tank. God, I don't want my child out there in the streets looking for love. I want my child to go out there in the world, and whether they're at school or at the party or at the game or wherever they are, I want them to sit there knowing I am loved. And so can't no cheap thrill come and steal my love away from my parents, steal my love away from my man. I am loved. So maybe it's time for you to think about, are you speaking Chinese while your spouse is speaking French? And like two ships passing in the night, it's not that you don't love each other. You're just speaking two different languages. You think that dinner on the table, you think that going to work and paying the bills, you think that all of the fur coats and the diamonds and the new house and the big car, you think that that should prove your love. But just because that's the way you give love doesn't mean that's the way they want to get love. And so you're saying, wow, their tank ought to be on full. Look at all I did. Look at all I said. Look at all the time I spent. And they're like, that's not even what I want, because the problem is you never touch me. They want to be touched. They want to be made love to. They want it creative and exciting. And because there's a lack of touch, which is their primary love language, they are on E. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So what I want you to do is I want you to do a love tank check. I want you to start doing this on a daily basis. I want you to ask your spouse on a scale from 1 to 10, how full is your tank right now? And what can I do to fill your tank today? Ask your spouse, ask your children, ask your mom, ask your dad. Your dad may say, I just want you to go to the game with me. Your mom say, can we just take an exercise class together? Can you just call me more often? I would like a letter from you sometime. You say, well, Mom, I sent you a text. And well, that's not my love language. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back for more of GospelRhythms.com right here on LA Talk Live. But I want you thinking about that, about your inner circle. Are there tanks on E or are they on full? Because when we get back, I'm going to define all 5 love languages. So now you are without excuse. You're going to have to think about, do I love the person who I'm in relationship with, whether parent, spouse, or child, the way they want to be loved, or the way I'm trying to force love down their throat? We'll be right back here. I'm Pastor Dawn on Gospel Rhythms from right here on www.LATalkLive.com. We'll be right back.
You got it, Pastor Dawn. You got it. You got it. We'll be back.
You was just a young and your looks were so precious, but now you grown up so fly, it's like a blessing. But you can't have a man look at you for 5 seconds without you being insecure. You never credit yourself, so when you got older, it seemed like you came back 10 times over. Now you're sitting here in the stamp corner, looking over your thoughts and looking over your shoulder. See, you had a lot of crooks try to steal your heart, never really had luck. Never figure out how to love.
Hands can do incredible things. They made every sound in this piece of music. But nothing compares to using them to help save a life. If an adult suddenly collapses, call 911, then push hard and fast in the center of their chest until help arrives. It's called hands-only CPR, and it's recommended by the American Heart Association. Visit handsonlycpr.org today. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
Oh, your skin looks great.
Thank you.
What's your secret?
Frankincense and myrrh oil by Ancient Essence.
Frankincense and myrrh oil by Ancient Essence?
Yes, it's a beauty secret used since the time of the Greeks and Romans. The spa in Malibu told me about frankincense and myrrh by Ancient Essence, and now my skin is lovely.
Well, your skin looks great.
Call Ancient Essence at 1-800-627-9813. Discover the secret of beautiful skin. Call 1-800-627-9813. Discover the secret. Frankincense and myrrh oil by Ancient Essence. Discover the secret of beautiful skin. Available at fine spas and beauty centers.
Hi, this is Dr. Levi, your fitness doctor, making a personal house call, inviting you to join me Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific for my all-new show, The Dr. Levi Show. Join us as we discuss fitness, health, and well-being, including emotional and spiritual health. So don't forget to tune in to The Dr. Levi Show every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com and the Talk Live Broadcast Network. You can also catch us on iTunes, Radio R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv, or catch us on the Live 365 network, and now on Radio Flag and Stitcher Radio. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Yes, we are more than just talk. Yes, that shows that GospelRhythms.com is absolutely proof of that here on Gospel Rhythms, we're more than just talk. We're bringing you the word edition of Knowing What Thus Saith the Lord every Sunday right here at 4 o'clock West Coast time on latalklive.com. We're back for the second half of the show. I hope that you were already inspired and thinking, and I mean, you could literally hear your brain going tick-tock, tick-tock as you started to evaluate for yourself. Is your love tank on full or is it on E? And what about those that you love? If I was to ask your parent or your children that, what would they say? Our purpose today is to make sure that we begin to love the people who God has placed us in relationship with the way they want to be loved. And so we've already talked about how we are highlighting Dr. Gary Chapman's book, The 5 Love Languages, today. And we're talking about how each and every one of us has a primary way of expressing and interpreting love. Now, I have a language that I want to receive, and then I have a language that I want to give love in. And the thing is that very often we will give love to people the way that we want to be loved. So let's say that your primary love language is that you want to get gifts. You know, if somebody buy you something, man, they spend a few dollars on you, you feel the love. And so that's what you do. You buy stuff, and then you're trying to figure out why they don't feel love, because that's not the way that they want to receive love just because that's the way you give it. So today is not about you. This is about you coming outside of yourself and beginning to love your spouse, your parent, your children, your siblings the way that their love language dictates that they want to be loved. So what Gary Chapman has identified are 5 primary ways. And those 5 ways, number 1 is words of affirmation. Words of affirmation. What that means is that these are the positive, building up, shaping, impacting ways that a person wants to hear love. They want to hear the words that are said. In Proverbs 18:21, it says, what you say can mean life or death. Those who speak with care will be rewarded. The power of life and death lies in a tongue. And let's just say that you are in love with someone whose primary way of receiving love is in what you say to them. Now you have to start thinking, do I give them affirming words, words that are positive and true and building them up, or do I tear them down? Am I critical? Am I hypocritical? Am I negative all the time? Am I always just where people don't even want to come home to me because my mouth is just poison? Do you speak words of affirmation to the one who may want to hear those words from you? Now, here's one thing I want you to think about for a second. If you don't know what the love language, as I outline all of these for you, is for your spouse or your parent or child, listen to their complaints Listen to what their complaints are. If they're saying, you never bring me anything, or you never go out, or you never tell me you love me, or we don't make love often enough, they're telling you through their complaints what their love language is. So when they say, you never say it to me, you never tell me you value me, you never tell me you're proud of me, if you are hearing that, that means that person who you are in love with, they're letting you know that words of affirmation is one of their primary love languages. They often say that actions don't speak louder than words, or they say actions do speak louder than words, but guess what? For this person, they don't. For this person, unsolicited comments mean the world to them. Hearing you say, I love you is foreplay to them. It's just awesome to them. And insult, the negativity, that's shattering, damaging, just absolute bullets right from your mouth to their soul. They want to hear you say, good job. That child whose love language is words of affirmation, they want to hear you say how proud you are of the B, not how horrible and stupid they are for not getting an A. That wife whose words of affirmation is that language, she wants to hear you say, honey, good job on the 5 pounds. She doesn't want to hear you say 50 more to go. Positive reinforcements, affirming, building up words mean everything. The right words at the right time mean everything, everything. If you're out there and you're single, you have to think about if this is your primary love language, the way you want to be loved. If you're thinking about getting into a relationship with somebody who is non-communicative, they have a problem communicating love. They say they just a quiet type, but yet your primary love language is words. Is words of affirmation. Guess what? You're going to run around constantly feeling unfulfilled. Your love tank is going to stay on E, because if they can't communicate to you in your primary love language, nor are they willing to love it and learn it and grow up to it, you in trouble, baby. And I think twice before you think about saying I do. Words of affirmation. Know if that is your love language, and know if it's the one for the person who you love. That's the first one. The second one, gifts of appreciation. Gifts of appreciation.
Appreciation, that's right, Pastor Don. Your reception is cutting in a little bit there, Pastor Don.
Or the significance of. So any gift, this is a gift to show you I value you, that you are significant to me, that you are a quality asset to my life. When you are in love with a person where gifts of appreciation is their primary love language, they love flowers just because. Small tokens and large tokens mean everything to them. A little gift left under the pillow or in the lunchbox when they get to work, that means everything to them. I realized that this became a primary love language for me through my dad, because this was one of the ways that he gave love. My dad bought us things, and he felt like, hey, I bought you this and I bought you that. Don't you know I love you? And see, me and my sister and my brother, we were just like, just tell us. Just tell us. Why? Because our love language, all three of us, one of our primary one was the words. My dad wasn't a word kind. My dad isn't a word kind of guy, so he didn't say it. He bought it. It took me forever to realize, when he did that, that was his way of loving me. And I also found as I grew up, I began to duplicate my dad in this area. And this is what, I would do for my children. This is what I did for my parents, do for my siblings. But yet I have 4 siblings, and all 4 of my siblings want to be loved in different ways. And so one sister, if I go buy her a pair of shoes, she's like, girl, you love me. The other one is like, man, can you just come spend some time with me? I had to find out. Each one of them got a different love language. And so know if receiving gifts is that important to them. Now, you don't have to mistake that this love language means materialism, because the person whose love language is gifts, they really thrive on the love and the thoughtfulness and the effort behind the gift. They thrive on what that gift and that gesture shows that you feel about them. So I don't want you to think that, that the person whose love language is gifts means they're materialistic. No, it's what they learned in their past, Somewhere in their history, this was embedded and rooted down in them as their love language. And you got to know that a missed birthday or a missed anniversary or a thoughtless gift is absolutely disastrous to them. So if this is the love language of the one you love, maybe you need to pick up some flowers on the way home today. Maybe you need to pick up some flowers on the way home. So that's the second one. The first one, words. The second one, gifts. The third one, quality time. The third love language is quality time. In Rick Warren's book, The Purpose-Driven Life, he says the best way to spell LOVE is TIME. For the person whose love language is quality time, they don't care what you buy them. They don't care what you say to them if at the end of the day they don't never see you. If they don't never see you, you miss all the games. You never make a concert. There are no date nights. They never get to go on any kind of special events with you. You come home and go straight to bed or immediately start playing your video game or watching TV. They don't feel your love. Now, to you, I just did all that work. I'm working hard to get the bonus. I worked overtime to bring the money home so we could get the new washer, get the new dryer. To you, you're like, man, I did all that stuff. And your spouse is like, but you don't spend no time with me. You know, it used to be where I would see mainly women complained about this. But in this 2013 world we live in now, I got just as many husbands saying my wife is always on the phone. She is always with her girlfriend. She spends more time with her girlfriends than she do me. I had a girlfriend of mine call me just the other day and asked me to go out to eat with her. And I said, you know what? You've been gone so much this week. Call your husband and ask him first. And if he wants to go, I'll even babysit for you. Because, see, a real friend, a real sister, a real brother is going to build up your marriage and let you know when you may be missing the love language of the one you're with. And so you got to realize that when somebody's love language is quality time, they want your undivided attention. They don't want you, okay, you with me, but you texting the whole time. You with me, but you on Facebook the whole time. You playing your game. They want your attention. You know, a lot of people who are really, really busy because that's just the demands that the world has on them. You may not have quantity, but you can make what time you do have quality. You know, I know husbands and wives that are literally as important as Michelle and Barack Obama, where they literally have vital, important, life-changing things to do in the world. However, they have a date night with each other, and they make sure that that one night a week is so quality that it far outweighs the other 6 nights that they're gone or working the overtime or at the hospital or up at the church or, you know, doing whatever it may be, running with the kids. The quality is so good and so rich and so deep that quality time is being met in them. Stop trying to get people to spend time doing what you want to do. A quality time person, you find out what they want to do. People often say, I don't have time for this, I don't have time for that. Well, you know what? We make time for what's important. Time takes time. Love requires sacrifice. Sacrifice requires me going against my natural bent. Maybe it's easy for me to be there for the rest of the world, but what good does it do a parent to gain the whole world but lose their own child? I went to go see It's a Good Day to Die Hard yesterday, and in the movie, Bruce Willis is dealing with his adult son, and his adult son is just angry with him and disconnected with him, and he's like, you know, you want to play dad now? I'm a grown man now. Where were you at when I was a kid? You weren't at anything. You were always working. So all those other 54 diehards that we went to see are symbolic of that parent that work all the time trying to give the child a good life, but they forgot to give them time. They forgot to be there for them. You know how many couples do that in their own marriage? They stop dating right after the wedding. I mean, literally right after the honeymoon. They don't even go on a date night anymore. I have twin boys, and I had to learn early on that even though they're same age, moments apart, I had to love my twins separately. I had to give them quality time apart from each other. I couldn't take them everywhere where they always feel like a twin, a twin, a twin. Each one of my children got quality time. My son got mama son night. My daughter got daughter mommy night. Quality time. Quality time. Maybe your husband wants you to go fishing or catch that football game, or maybe your wife wants you to see that chick flick. Go spend the time with the person in your life that this is their love language. Undivided quality time. Don't keep being distracted and postponing dates or failing to listen. Make it to that science fair. Be at that award ceremony. Be there dancing and twirling your daughter around on daddy-daughter dance. Have those individual dinners with your children. And have the hottest date night, one night a week. That's 4 nights a week, 4 nights a month, rather, that you're investing into your marriage. For the one you said, until death do us part. Don't make me hate it until you die. Make it good, make it hot, and give me the quality time I deserve if this is my love language. So that's number 3. Number 1 was words. Number 2, gifts. Number 3, time. Number 4, acts of service. Acts of service. The person whose love language is acts of service, they receive and feel you expressing love to them in what you do. It's those little things you do. Can you help me with the laundry? If I cook dinner, can you do the dishes? You know, the words that the person whose love language is acts of service most wants to hear is, let me do that for you. They can't stand laziness and broken commitments. They can't stand when a spouse says to another spouse, I'll watch the children for you. That's grounds for argument. How you going to babysit your own kids? That's the first thing you go hear. You tell somebody, I made up the bed for you. You sleep in this bed just like I do. The acts of service. Vacuuming the floors can be an expression of love. Absolutely, for them. It's like the best foreplay in the whole wide world. That wife comes home from work. She's working a little late. And when she comes in, you have already made dinner, had the kids in their bath, and helped them with the homework. Man, you about to get the best foreplay you ain't never had, followed by some good, hot, naked butt sex. Because her love language was what? Acts of service. And you just touched her where she wanted to be touched because of the way the laundry or the grass, or you finally painted the fence, or, whatever, cleaned out the garage. That was making love. And so you ain't got to buy them nothing. They don't care how much you say. You can be gone with the boys, but can you do the things that show them the acts of service? That is the 4th love language. The 5th love language, the 5th and final love language, is physical touch. It is physical touch. Now, this one seems self-explanatory, but I want you to know this language isn't all about the bedroom. A person whose primary language is physical touch sometimes may not be very touchy in the way we all think about it, but hugs and pats on the back and holding hands and thoughtful touches on the arm or the shoulder or the face. Oh, my God, they love it. They absolutely love it. A simple touch expresses excitement, concern, and care and love. Physical presence and accessibility are crucial to them, while neglect or abuse can be unforgivable and absolutely destructive to a relationship. I remember when I first started counseling couples, I would have a husband and a wife come in for counseling, and let's just use the wife, for example. She may say, he had an affair, and I can't believe he had an affair, and I want you to let him know what a dog he is and what it is and what it that and da-da-da-da. And, when I was young, stupid, and immature, I'd be like, yeah, you had an affair. You cheated. You the worst thing, da-da-da-da. But then I grew up a little bit, learned a little bit, saw a few things, and started learning to ask some questions, one of which is, how's the love making? And I'm not, and I want everybody to understand me. I'm not giving blame here, but I'm giving us grounds to explore further than surface stuff. so often when I would ask that question, how's the love making, I would come to find out the wife ain't made love to the husband in months. Before they got married, they used to make love 3-4 times a day, all in the back seat of the car, in the movies, at the park, gave oral sex when they was going down the street, and now she ain't touched him because she tired. She trying to get that second master's degree, and she got the kids and something every day and 15 times on Saturday, and she too tired to make love. So in her lack of making love, he went to go get his love tank filled. Why? Because his primary love language in this particular case was physical touch. And in the absence of being touched by his wife, in the absence of her being touched by her husband, they sought that touch somewhere else. So I learned that it wasn't just so black and white, immediately calling him the villain and her the innocent. Start to help wives see you didn't make him have the affair, but you didn't give him a reason not to. He was starving for love. When is the last time you told him how fine he was? When is the last time your wife came home and you had a box on the table, and let's just say that box had a trench coat in it with some red pumps, and it said, meet me at room 814 at the such and such hotel, and I'm going to be there waiting for you, and just had a night of passion? Or do y'all just argue about the kids and, what bills got to be paid, and, what about the second mortgage, and, oh, my God, we got to file these taxes, and we're going to owe, and what we going to, and you're so busy raising them kids and letting life bury you, you don't even hold hands anymore. You go to the movies and you sit in the movies like two people don't even know each other. You walk around the house and you walking around that house like roommates, like your roommates. There are no tender kisses. You don't even come in the door and greet each other with a hug or a kiss, even a pat on the back, something. When is the last time you showed up at your spouse's job and said, babe, let's make love in your office during your lunch hour? You have to know if physical touch is your spouse's way of being loved. You have to know if physical touch is one of your children's way of being loved. One of your children can be like, you know what, Mom, you'll never hug me. You never hug me. Oh, you quick to yell about that kitchen and tell them clean up that room, but when the last time you just held them and said, son, I'm so proud of you? When is the last time you held your daughter and said, baby, don't nobody love you like daddy? Nobody loves you. And so she grows up being affirmed in her love and absolutely having a positive outlook on what a good physical touch is, instead of letting somebody slap her around and kick her around, and they call that touch love. I remember when my son, who this was his primary love language, literally all the way up until maybe about 10 or 11 years old, and then all of a sudden when we would pull in front of his school, he would tell me, Mama, don't kiss me, don't kiss me. I don't want my friends to see you kissing me. I don't want my friends to see you kissing me. I was so hurt. I was crushed. And I had to learn it was just a phase, because sure enough, he got to high school, got to the 10th grade, and he was back to, Mom, give me a hug, give me a kiss. It was just a phase. And I learned today still, this is what my kids still love. And I learned how each and every one of them is so different. One wants time, one wants touch, one wants words. My daughter, Jesus, my daughter, she is a toucher. My daughter is adopted, and her biological mother, as she was in her life, she used to buy her all this stuff all the time. And my daughter used to say, I just want her to come and spend some time with me. And so this is a big love language from my daughter, because she didn't get that time from her biological mother. And remember what I told you in the beginning. What we go through as kids, as teenagers, shapes our expression of love and our ability to receive love and how we want it from what we've been through in the past. And so now is your time. Take a look at your family. Your mom and your dad, how do each of them want to be loved? When it comes to you being a son, is your dad's love tank full? Are you so busy saying, he wasn't there for me, and he didn't love me, and he didn't this? Are you going to let all that foolishness fade away, and you're going to start anew today? I cannot tell you how many people I sit with at the mortuary, I sit with at the funeral home, and they want to love their sister a day too late. They want to love their mama and daddy and forgive them for the past a day too late. At some point, you got to say, we're going to let the past go. And you're here, and I'm here, and I'm going to love you, and I want you to love me. I want to tell you how I want to be loved, and I want to find out how you want to be loved. I want to know what love is. And I want you to know how I think about love on the inside. I want to know what walking around with a full tank is. You find out that that brother or that sister of yours, they're not that angry as you think they are. They're not as disconnected as you think. They were hurt. They were violated. Something happened. And their whole method of love, their message of love was so damaged and fractured that you think they just the coldest piece of work you ever met. If you find out how they want to be loved, love conquers all. Love conquers all. I want you to find out who are the ones in your life that want to get the gifts. Who are the ones that want the time? Who are the ones that want the touch? Who are the ones that want to hear the words? Who are the ones that just want you to help and do something? Help and do something. You got to make up your mind that we're going to stay together. I'm going to learn how to love you. I am going to do whatever it takes. One of the things that I gave the couples on the fog call when I was going over all of this in the devotional was I told them, I said, I want you to go to www.5lovelanguages.com, that's 5, the number 5, lovelanguages.com. They have a 5 love languages quiz. You can take the quiz. It takes about, I want to say maybe 7 or 8 minutes. You take the quiz and you can find out what your primary language and your secondary language is. They have ones for spouses. They have ones for children and parents so that you can find out exactly what your love language is. And then you can start sending that one you love off to work on full, sending them to school full, making sure you in every day just about full. If I'm going to send you on a trip and you on your way to Vegas, I'm sending you to the bachelor party on full. Because I want to love you the way you want to be loved. I don't want to force feed you, and I don't want to come off cold and disconnected and aloof because I won't learn, nor do I care to learn what it takes to keep you on full. If you're a married couple, I want to give you 4 more tips that I believe will truly, truly be of the utmost help to you. Just some extra homework to undergird this learning each other's love language. Because if you're here, I want you to stay together. I've said it 1,000 times that it's so easy, so very, very easy to fall apart. It takes work to hold it together. But I want you to know that if you don't hold it together with this one, you just going to have to hold it together with the next one. Because that whole euphoria that we all feel in the beginning, the reason why falling in love feels so effortless is because it is. It doesn't take effort to fall in love. It takes effort to stay in love. And so you're going to have to make up your mind that you're willing to put forth the effort because every relationship goes through those cycles. And so if you are addicted to that falling in love stage, they call it the summer or the spring of a relationship, and you're not willing to survive the fall and the winter, you just going to go through it with the next one, unless you telling me you have a call on your life to be a nun or to be a priest and you're going to be single for the rest of your life, then you ain't got to learn that. But if you are a red-blooded, hot-blooded, human being who loves to be loved, loves to be held, loves to be in a relationship and don't want to spend the rest of your day, you're going to have to learn how to be with somebody. And if you leave everybody when the going gets tough, baby, you will never make it with anybody. You will never make it with anybody. Everybody has survived the fall and the winter. And instead of you saying that I married the right person, I think I got in this relationship with the wrong person, love that person who you are with. Love that person who you are with. So, if you're committed to loving them and making it through every season there is of marriage, I want you to keep these 4 things in mind. Keep God first. Keep God first in your relationship, in your home, in your atmosphere. Make the Word a daily part of your life and prayer your guiding force. Keep God first. Number 2, hang around godly couples and friends, especially married ones. If you're married and your closest friends are single, I didn't say none of your friends couldn't be single, but your closest confidants, your inner circle, they are single. How are they helping you? How are they building you? Unless you're telling me they're marriage counselors, or maybe there are people who were divorced, and because they were divorced, they have a passion to see people not get a divorce and see people not fall apart. Iron sharpens iron. Bad company corrupts good character. You have to make sure you're hanging around godly couples and friends, and you got to remember that light and darkness have no fellowship. Number 3, be an active part of a on-fire marriage ministry. If your church don't have one, find a church that does have one. Your marriage needs constant support, nurturing, training, and equipping. You know how you find out you're not crazy and your marriage isn't the only one going through it is when you hear other people, when you're constantly getting workshops. We'll go to a workshop. We'll take a class on buying a house and learning how to invest and even on taking a trip around the world. But we don't want to go take a class on how to be married, the hardest thing in the whole wide world there is to do. Join a marriage ministry. You'll be a part of on-fire activities and couples retreats and chat nights, and it will do a marriage good. And lastly, if you're going to keep God first and you're going to hang around godly couples and you're going to be a part of an active marriage ministry to make sure you're getting the training and equipping you need, lastly, seek counseling. Seek counseling while things are going well. Go in for a tune-up. Go in while things are still fine. After I perform a wedding ceremony for couples think that the most important counseling they get from me is premarital counseling. And I let them know all the time the most important counseling is postmarital counseling. I have a requirement on the couples whose marriages I perform that I see them 4 times after the wedding. I want to see them at the 90-day mark, at the 180-day mark, at the 9-month mark, and then again at 12 months, because I know that the transition and the adjustment is so hard that first year, and you'll be ready to either commit suicide or homicide if somebody don't tell you you can get through this. If somebody don't come and tell you this too shall pass. Seek counseling when things are going well. When you wait to come to counseling when the house is on fire, man, you make it impossible for that therapist. You make it impossible for that pastor or that minister. Don't come when the house is on fire. Come when you think you smell smoke. Come because you know smoke is possible. I want you to do what it takes to love each other and get the checkups, the attitude adjustments. Learn how to talk to each other. Robert Anderson of the book Solitaire and Double Solitaire said, in every marriage more than a week old, there are grounds for divorce. The trick is to find and continue to find grounds for marriage. What God has joined together, let no man put asunder. Learn how to love the one you are with. Don't look for grounds for divorce because they exist. Find grounds for marriage. Dig into that ground. hold on to that ground and fight for your love affair with your spouse, your love affair with each one of your children. Make sure your parents leave this earth knowing they are loved. We are so glad you joined us here for Gospel Rhythms on LA Talk Live today. We want you to meet us right back here next Sunday at 4 o'clock for more Gospel Rhythms right here on the nation's #1 internet radio show, right here on LA Talk Live. Thank you so much. I'll be back right here for more of the Word Edition. And, of course, I want you to join me tomorrow morning on the Fog National Devotion, 6:30 a.m. Check us out on Facebook at the Favor of God Fog Call. Get the times, get the number, and wake up every day in the power, the love of God. Get a stronger relationship, a stronger you, a better you, walking in your future, your destiny, forgiving, letting go, being healed and whole, and a better person because you spent time with a lover of your soul. I'm Pastor Dawn, and this is Gospel Rhythms. Thank you for joining us right here today on LA Talk Live. We'll catch you next Sunday.
You are now tuned into LA Talk Live. We're more than just talk. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned.
Are you ready to enjoy the Maui lifestyle? You can have it all by owning real estate on the Paradise Island of Maui. Dennis Rush, a 22-year Maui resident and real estate broker, brings his wealth of experience and market knowledge to add value to your Maui real estate understanding, providing a level of service as unique and exceptional as the island of Maui itself. The magical island of Maui was voted the most exclusive resort island in the world by Condé Nast Traveler, and keep in mind, Maui is only a simple, non-stop flight away. Hawaii Business Magazine Top 100 Realtors awarded Dennis Rush the 2011 4th Top Realtor on the island of Maui. Go to www.dennisrush.com to view all of the amazing properties currently available in the Maui MLS system. Whatever your needs or desires, Dennis Rush will provide a private consultation for any Maui properties your heart desires. You will be in good hands. Once again, go to www.dennisrush.com. That's www.dennisrush.com. Contact Dennis today to start your Maui lifestyle now. Dennis Rush, proud sponsors of the Dawn Christie Show and LA Talk Live.